Batman loses all his first encounters. Or at least that's what people want you to think. See, this is a common misconception that people have, that Batman needs prep or that he loses all his first encounters. But recently I did a video which I showed all of Batman's first encounters against his major villains and the fact that he has an 80% to 90% win ratio. In fact, Batman almost always wins his first encounters with a new villain. But I figured I'd show you guys something interesting. Let's take the face of Marvel, Marvel's biggest character, Spider-Man. And let's look at all his first encounters with his major rogue gallery, shall we? Amazing Spider-Man issue number 3, the first appearance of Dr. Octopus. Pretty simple, Spider-Man crashes in on Doc Ock. The two of them have a tussle. Doc Ock grabs him, bitch slaps him, and throws him out a window. First encounter victory for Doc Ock. Amazing Spider-Man issue number 2, first encounter with the Vulture. Vulture sees Spider-Man, does the loop-de-loop, hits him from behind, grabs him, and then throws him away. First counter and victory for the Vulture. Amazing Spider-Man issue number 4, first encounter, Sandman. Spider-Man shows up on Sandman, tries to beat him up, and then Spider-Man gets his ass kicked. First encounter victory, Sandman. Amazing Spider-Man issue number 6, first encounter with the Lizard. Lizard jumps out, pulls Spider-Man into the water. The two proceed to fight, with the Lizard getting the advantage. And even in their rematch, Lizard again fights against Spider-Man. Spider-Man is not able to take him down. And as Lizard is winning, he reverts back to his human form. First encounter victory, inconclusive. Lizard was winning, but turned back into a human. Amazing Spider-Man issue number 9, first encounter with Electro. This is pretty straightforward. Spider-Man goes and tries to tangle with Electro, and then gets a shock to his system. First encounter victory, Electro. Amazing Spider-Man issue number 13. First encounter, Mysterio. This one is another easy one. Spider-Man tries to go after Mysterio. He then does a vulture and kicks him in the back of the head. And then, messing with Spider-Man, he proceeds to lay hands on him and throws him off a bridge. First encounter victory, Mysterio. Amazing Spider-Man issue number 15. First encounter, Kraven. Kraven watches Spider-Man, so he gets a little prep in. Then Spider-Man goes to fight against the Hunter, and then Kraven proceeds to beat the shit out of him, knocking Spider-Man around so much that he has to retreat. First encounter victory, Kraven. Amazing Spider-Man issue number 14. First encounter with the Green Goblin. This one has a ton of asterisks to it, because Green Goblin and Spider-Man really don't go one-on-one. It's more Green Goblin's thugs, as well as the Incredible Hulk. And then even after Spider-Man dispatches the Hulk, or at least gets away from him, Green Goblin has an unfair advantage. So I'm not going to count this one against the Web Slinger. First encounter victory, inconclusive. Amazing Spider-Man issue number 20. First encounter, the Scorpion. Spider-Man swings out, encounters the Scorpion as he jumps him. The two of them proceed to throw hands at each other. Spider-Man tries to get away using some web slinging, but then gets knocked the fuck out and thrown through a building. That's not the only time. In the same issue, Spider-Man gets up, proceeds to go after Scorpion again, and Scorpion throws hands and beats him up. First encounter victory, and technically second encounter, Scorpion. Amazing Spider-Man issue number 41. First encounter, Rhino. Spider-Man sees Rhino. The two of them get into a tussle. Spider-Man is able to use Rhino's stupidity and charge to gain the advantage and pick up the victory. Good on Spider-Man. First encounter victory, Spider-Man. Amazing Spider-Man issue number 46. First encounter, the Shocker. Spider-Man meets the Shocker, and it's worth noting Spider-Man is injured going into this fight. Tries to throw a hand with Shocker, and then Shocker levels him out. First encounter victory, the Shocker. However, an asterisk needs to be put to this because Spider-Man was not 100%. Amazing Spider-Man issue 51. First encounter, the Kingpin. After fighting Kingpin's goons, Spider-Man gets involved with the big boss himself. Kingpin beats the shit out of him, then continues to beat the shit out of him, and then when Spider-Man gets in close, gasses him. Spider-Man is defeated. Just so that there's no confusion, Amazing Spider-Man issue number 52 shows that Spider-Man was indeed defeated by the Kingpin. First encounter victory, Kingpin. Amazing Spider-Man issue 300. First encounter, Venom. We see that Venom jumps on Spider-Man. Venom then gives out his backstory on how he got the symbiote. The two continue their fight after the dialogue, with Venom and Spider-Man going back and forth, Spider-Man getting overwhelmed, having to use a gun on Venom, and even after that gun knocks Venom down, Venom gets back up, web slings Spider-Man down to the ground, and the two continue their fight with Spider-Man getting knocked out. First encounter victory, Venom. Amazing Spider-Man 361. First encounter, Carnage. So we got Carnage here doing his best Drew McIntyre pose. The two of them get into a tussle. Carnage and him go back and forth. However, at the end of the day, as it seems to be the case, Spider-Man gets beat, knocked out, and Carnage runs away. They even have a rematch in Amazing Spider-Man 362, in which Venom teams up with Spider-Man. The two of them team up, go up against Carnage. Carnage is able to successfully hold his own against the two, and then proceeds to throw a baby, which forces the fight to end. First encounter and second encounter victory, Carnage. Amazing Spider-Man 101. First encounter, Morbius. Pretty straightforward. Morbius rolls in. By the way, this is the time that Spider-Man had extra arms. The two of them tussle. Morbius knocks the shit out of him. First encounter victory, Morbius. I could keep going with Spider-Man, but it's not just Spider-Man. Take, for example, Captain America. And mind you, I had to block out certain things on this comic cover because it represented certain people throughout history which should not be named. Captain America Comics, issue number 1, Captain America's first encounter with Red Skull, in which Red Skull knocks the shit out of Cap. Bucky had to get involved after Cap lost to save him and give Cap a victory. This isn't even like Lady Shiva bullshit, where Shiva and Batman were going back and forth equal to each other, and Robin interfered just to end the fight. Like, these two were fighting equal. But here, Cap gets knocked the fuck out. First encounter victory, Red Skull. Shit, what about Eric Killmonger going up against Black Panther? Jungle Action, issue number 6. Killmonger rolls up and attacks Black Panther. The two of them have a bit of a back and forth, with Killmonger not giving a shit. He calls his Pokemon the Jaguar. Black Panther tussles with the Jaguar, having trouble. Eventually is able to take the Jaguar out, but Killmonger continues to beat him and throws him over a waterfall. Shit, Black Panther, you should take some lessons from Batman, who in the same era was regularly and easily fighting big cats himself. Hell, even recently, Batman was wrestling and fighting and knocking out bears. First encounter victory, Killmonger. Shit, we can even do Daredevil and Bullseye. Daredevil, issue 131. Bullseye throws a grenade at Daredevil. What, the sonar didn't prepare you for that? Like, I know eventually you notice it, but boom. Gets back up from falling. Gets knocked around by Bullseye. After that, we move on to Bullseye bringing him to a circus, ties him up with rope, and let the games begin. Their fight continues in 132, where Bullseye is just fucking around and messing with Daredevil. So much so, look at this, he's just shooting people at him. It gets to the point that Bullseye is done with this shit, and he leaves with Daredevil having an L. Look at that. He said he knew he botched it up. First encounter victory, Bullseye. See, this is the disingenuous nature on this app and in our community that I can't stand. Everyone says Batman loses his first encounters. He needs prep. But Batman, majority of the time, wins his first encounters. But then no one ever brings up that Spider-Man loses all his first encounters. Like Rhino was the only one that he outright won. And not just him, but we had Captain America and Black Panther and Daredevil. And if you want me to, I can do a whole video on their first encounters with their enemies. Because, let me tell you, it isn't good. If you want your confirmation bias because you dislike Batman, or if you want to listen to certain Marvel creators who just spew out misinformation, that's fine. But as you can see, I'm showing you the issue, I'm showing you the context, and I'm allowing you to check my work. Go back, read the issues yourself, look at them, come to your own conclusion. Don't just listen to people in your ear. Batman has a better winning record in his first encounter than the majority of Marvel people.